Welcome back everyone. We're going to be doing a comparison finally between the iPhone SE 2020 and the iPhone 11 Pro. Now luckily I was able to get my hands on it on the first day that it publicly gets announced. I wasn't one of the first people to get it, unfortunately. But there's a lot of differences between these two phones. But what I will tell you though, and this might not come out to be a secret, but if you have all the money in the world to spend, the iPhone 11 Pro is the better phone every which way you look at it. I hate to say it, but on the flip side, the iPhone SE 2, isn't that far behind. It's really almost right there, right next to the iPhone 11 Pro. And instead of paying the $1,000 for the 11 Pro, you can pay $399 for an iPhone SE 2020 and get almost all the features as the 11 Pro, besides maybe the nice screen and the cameras and all that we'll get into in a second. But for sure, the iPhone SE 2020 has a lot of value in it, and it's a very good valued phone at the end of the day. Now, I am doing a giveaway for a red iPhone SE 2020. In order to enter, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All those links are down below, so you can follow me there. I'll be picking the winner 2 Fridays from now, so not this Friday, but the next Friday. So keep it locked down on the channel so you guys don't miss that when I pick the winner. And I'll probably be announcing the winner on my Instagram story and Twitter, so that pretty much covers that. Also, I'll be linking both these phones in the description below if you want to pick either of these ones up. Hopefully they're on Amazon so I can link them from there, so you can buy them from there and help support the channel at the same time. But looking on the front of both phones, the iPhone 11 Pro has that 5.8-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. It's 1125 by 2436 in terms of pixels, and it's a tremendous panel. It's very, very good. One thing I really like about Apple's panels is that very rarely do they get screen burn-in, and I really do like that. I think that's one of my favorite things about the whole entire iPhone OLED experience. So for sure, the iPhone 11 Pro has a tremendous screen. It has True Tone. It's just a beautiful screen at the end of the day. I think you guys already know how it is. With the iPhone SE 2020 has that 4.7-inch Retina IPS panel. It's 750 by 1334, and it's not a bad panel. It's kind of something we're just already used to. And for an LCD panel, Apple actually made pretty decent LCD panels. So it has True Tone. It has a lot of things going for it at the end of the day. Is it the best panel? No. Is it even the best panel in this price range? Probably not. But for a brand new device and from Apple for recycling the design, the panel is just one of those things that I don't think a lot of people are really going to be caring about, especially if you're going down in this price tag. If you want a better display, get an iPhone XR. If you want an even better display, get an iPhone 11 Pro. And you can always pick up an iPhone 10 or XS if you want to, so in the used market at least. So for sure, the panel, it really isn't too bad, and I don't think it deserves that much, disregard in a lot of ways. For sure the 11 Pro is better, but the SE2 isn't that bad either. Obviously, it has more bezel around the display. The 11 Pro just has that notch. The SE2 has, no notch on it. It pretty much just has a bunch of bezel, but still okay at the end of the day. You have Touch ID on the bottom of that as well. Lightning ports on the bottom. On the back, glass backs, wireless charging on both, which is really cool. You have a single camera setup on the iPhone SE2, but a triple camera setup on the iPhone 11 Pro, which is really cool. So you have those two type of capabilities. Obviously, the iPhone 11 Pro's camera is going to be better, but the iPhone SE2's camera is not behind either, so we'll talk about that in a second. IP68 dust and water resistance on the iPhone 11 Pro, IP67 dust and water resistance on the iPhone SE2, and again, not a humongously crazy difference, but you are kind of getting more certifications from the iPhone 11 Pro over the IP67 on the iPhone SE2, so kind of keep that in mind, but that pretty much covers it up on the outside. Now hitting on the software, like I stated before, both these phones will be getting the same exact software versions, which is amazing. So they're both starting off with iOS 13, obviously the SE2 starting on a later version of iOS 13, but since they have the same exact chipsets, theoretically going to last the same amount of time in terms of software updates, which is really cool. So if the iPhone 11 Pro ends at iOS 18, the iPhone SE2 is also going to be ending at iOS 18. So who knows how much further these phones are going to go, but that's seriously an amazing thing that both these phones are going to be getting that much software support considering the price difference between them. So in terms of software, they're both going to be lasting for a very long time. So that pretty much covers it there. Now I'll hit on the specs, but I did a speed comparison, so I'll show you guys that after I tell you the specs. But the iPhone 11 Pro has that Apple A13 Bionic chip, hexa-core CPU, and there's 3 different models with 4 gigs of RAM on each one of those models, where the iPhone SE2 has the Apple A13 Bionic chip, a hexa-core CPU, and again 3 different models, but all 3 of these models have 3 gigs of RAM, so a little bit of a difference, nothing too crazy, but It would have been nice if we had that additional 1 gig of RAM to kind of match what the 11 Pro has, but I kind of see why they didn't do that either. So with that being said, let's go and load up the speed test and see which one is truly faster. Alright, let's do the speed test. Now I have the 11 Pro on the left side and the SE2 on the right side if you guys couldn't tell. Let's go and load up the App Store. 3, 2, 1. And I think the SE2 actually loaded this one up faster by a little bit. Let's go and scroll through and see if there's a difference in the smoothness between them. And it doesn't really seem like it. They both seem about the same. We can, I guess, just jump into these random ones right now. Let's do Temple Run. 3, 2, 1. Hopefully I'm not in a game. So I was on a game here, so I will have to restart it. Temple Run again. 3, 2, 1. And they almost looked exactly the same. Now this isn't a big game by any means, but that was actually still kind of surprising. So Snake versus Blocks, 3, 2, 1. And actually a little bit faster on the iPhone SE2 again. That was actually really surprising. Now I was going to get to some gameplay, but I already kind of messed it up. Let's do Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. iPhone 11 Pro, slightly faster. We can do Dropbox. I guess I don't have it on here. I thought I did. Do Netflix, 3, 2, 1. And iPhone SE2 actually a little bit faster there. Thank you, 3, 2, 1. And again, the iPhone SE2 is slightly faster. And surprisingly, I'm seeing some bigger differences between these two than the iPhone SE2 and the iPhone 8. Like, that was actually really kind of weird. And do Fruit Ninja, 3, 2, 1. And it's looking like, yeah, the iPhone SE2 won again. That's actually super surprising. This is supposed to be the faster phone. They both have the same chipset and everything, but still this one is supposed to be the faster one. And now it's getting randomly red all of a sudden. We can do Stack, 3, 2, 1. Hopefully I color balance the whole thing and it's not that bad. And it's looking like the SE2 might have been the faster one because it loaded into the ad faster, but the 11 Pro did do a little bit of a different thing there, so I'm not really too sure what to make of that one. And I will have to redo this one. 3, 2, 1. And it might be the, actually I think the SE2 might have won that one too, which is kind of surprising, you know. I have no bias, I don't really care if one wins over the other one, but it's more surprising if the iPhone SE2 actually wins that one, so that one was really cool. I guess we can go and end off with Real Racing 3, 3, 2, 1. And as you can see, the SE2 actually loaded into it faster than the 11 Pro, and I had to take a cut there because I got a random notification and I had to exit out of it. But that's actually really surprising again. Well, the iPhone SE2, for that matter, got into the app a little bit faster. So ultimately what I will tell you is, at the end of the day, very surprising. I think the SE2 might be slightly faster here and there, but it's still very close. In the cases that I saw, I think the SE2 definitely, I think, kind of won a little bit. So that pretty much covers up the speed test. Now that we're back, let's go and hit on the cameras. And with the speed test, that was a quick one. I'll be doing a full in-depth speed test eventually in a different video, so keep locked down so you guys don't miss that. And just like the speed test, I'll be doing a full in-depth camera video as well. That's going to be pretty long, much longer than this one. This is just a full comparison. Those are going to be in-depth for those specific cameras. And the iPhone 11 Pro, as I stated before, has that triple camera setup: a 12 megapixel wide angle lens, 12 megapixel telephoto lens, and then another 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor, where the iPhone SE2 has that 12 megapixel wide angle lens. And definitely, without a doubt, I'll tell you, the iPhone 11 Pro has the better camera setup. You can do 4K 60 on both. If the quality was even exactly the same on both of them, which they kind of are, you're still going to have a better camera setup on the iPhone 11 Pro just because it has more camera sensors. You know, that's one of the most important things for sure. So what I'll tell you is the iPhone 11 Pro, in terms of the camera setup, is going to be the better camera setup for sure. On the front, 12 megapixel sensor on the iPhone 11 Pro, a 7 megapixel sensor on the iPhone SE2, and this is probably the biggest difference when it comes down to the cameras besides the back. You can shoot 4K at 60 frames on the iPhone 11 Pro. on that front camera, but you cannot do that on the iPhone SE 2. You're only topped out at 1080p at 30 frames, so not an amazingly crazy difference, but that is one thing to consider. So the iPhone 11 Pro is the better camera setup for sure, but the iPhone SE 2's camera still is pretty good, as you guys can see from the camera. Now ending it off with the battery life, the iPhone 11 Pro has a 3046 mAh battery, the iPhone SE 2 has a 1821 mAh battery, and like I stated before, the 11 Pro is going to have the better battery life, even though it's a little bit more powerful and it has, a bigger, brighter screen. But because the iPhone SE 2's battery isn't like a crazy large battery size, it's still going to kind of be a better battery life on the iPhone 11 Pro over the iPhone SE 2. Both have wireless charging like I stated, but the 11 Pro will have the better battery life for sure. So to kind of sum up this comparison, what I will tell you, the iPhone 11 Pro is going to be the better phone every single way you look at it. It's more premium, has a better screen, better cameras, all that stuff. But the iPhone SE 2 also, it's not that far behind, as I stated before. If the iPhone 11 Pro was a 10 out of 10, the iPhone SE is probably like an 8 out of 10. It's probably around like an 8 out of 10. But for that price per value per dollar, it's a much better value per dollar than a lot of other phones in the market. And it might even be a better value per dollar than the 11 Pro. Even though the 11 Pro is the better phone, the iPhone SE 2 is probably the better value per dollar. So again, these will be linked down below if I find any on Amazon. But that's pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys to check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone.